Pediatric brain tumors, while not a common condition, is certainly not rare. In Atlanta at Children's Healthcare, we're going to see over 100 children this year with newly diagnosed brain tumors. And that, of course, doesn't take into account the children that we've been treating over the years that are still battling the brain tumor that came on years before. We have a variety of tools that we use, including surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, and in many cases, and more than there used to be, thank goodness, we're able to actually achieve cures in a good number of children with brain tumors. But there are some that we still have difficulty with. And one of the ones that we had difficulty with is the type that Ian has, which is a diffusely infiltrating astrocytoma. And by that I mean it's a tumor that is growing and kind of percolating through the cells of his brainstem, so that there's no one target that you can go in and take out.
Specifically for Ian, he presented with some developmental delays, and so that led to further evaluation with eventually an MRI being obtained that shows abnormalities. And those abnormalities are within the brainstem.
This is not an uncommon type of tumor in children. They're typically benign, that is slow growing, but they do cause symptoms and they do grow. So the question is, how do we treat these difficult to treat tumors? We can't treat them with surgery. Surgery would cause irreparable harm. We can treat with chemotherapy, and that can be effective to a certain extent, but we really don't have a chemotherapy regimen that can cure these types of tumors. Radiation can be effective in certain cases, but we try not to use radiation, especially in the younger child, because it can cause injury and secondary tumor formation. So this is where I think a lot of the research needs to go. These types of tumors are really ones that we can't address with the standard means that we have available to us.
In the initial phases, until we see how a tumor that we find changes over time, it can be a very unnerving period for the family, because we're not able to tell them specifics or predict with as much confidence as we might if we had some pieces of the tissue and we're able to look at it under a microscope and give them a little bit more characterization of it by the pathologist.
And unfortunately, these diffusely infiltrating tumors are not uncommon in children. We see them in parts of the brain called the hypothalamus and the thalamus, which are areas that we can't go in and operate and completely remove the tumor because of the problems that surgery would create.
So one of those areas of research is looking at the spectroscopy of tumors, looking at the chemical analysis of the patterns that we're able to do through imaging. Another is by looking at the PET scans and comparing PET scans with MRI information that's available. Again, giving us a chance to look at the metabolism of the tumor without actually getting a piece of the tissue. And so there's another type of MRI sequence referred to as diffusion imaging and perfusion imaging, which also give us more puzzle pieces that we're able to analyze and predict behavior a little bit more effectively than we could in the old days.
Ian is the happiest child in the entire, I mean, seriously, he's such a delight. He's social, he loves to play, he loves his sisters, he loves animals, he loves sports. He's just very happy. He is so clueless about what's going on. It breaks my heart because he thinks that the pain that he's in, his stomach, his whatever he's feeling, he thinks that it is completely normal. He goes through life and he gets embarrassed sometimes because he can't control some things. He hides in a corner, but I think he thinks it's normal. It doesn't get him down. He just goes on with his life, and he's just such a happy kid. Everyone who meets him, seriously, completely falls in love with him.
Ian has availed and won the hearts of many of our therapists as he's had issues with his growth and development, and our physical therapists have worked with him on a very close basis in helping him gain strength and balance. And at 4 years of age, he's running up and down the hallways and having a great time enjoying life and meeting his day-to-day challenges.
I first saw Ian in March of 2007, and Ian presented with really problems where he was not making normal milestones. Had some what we call gross motor delays, some difficulty with walking, but was a very spirited, outgoing, happy child and remains that way to this day. But I think what we need the help of the people in this room to do is to help us with the type of research that we need to slow down, stop, or cure these types of tumors that Ian and many others have.
For many of the tumors like Ian's that are diffuse and involving structures of the brain that we can't surgically remove them, in many of those cases we're dealing with very chronic situations. We're very optimistic because as we followed Ian, he's continued to make good progress and we've had stability of scans. But truth in fact, the families and the care providers live on the edge of always having some anxiety about what the next MRI might hold.
Every morning I wake up, literally every morning I wake up in fear. I don't know what's going to happen that day. There's always some kind of complication, it seems like, with Ian, and it's hard for him, it's hard for us as his parents, and it's very hard on his sisters and my whole family. It's emotionally very draining.
And in trying to support the family through that and gain insight into, again, the diagnostic parameters for these tumors, being able to find features that help us reassure that he's one of the children who it's going to remain stable for a long time versus those children who progress and then need further treatment interventions.
I think there are going to be some exciting things on the horizon, new ways of delivering cancer treating drugs specifically to the cells themselves, the abnormal cells, and leaving the good cells behind.
None of us work in isolation. We really work together and collaborate with each other nationally and internationally to meet the challenges and to help children survive brain tumors and to help survivors achieve maximum function.
But this is going to take a lot of innovation. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take research, and research, unfortunately, takes money.
I feel like this is, and we've been told that this is a time bomb. So, but before that bomb goes off, we have made it our lifelong goal to get to the bottom of this and to figure something out. So Ian's not a victim.
But again, as a parent, when you see someone, especially a child, going through this and having to address this affliction without knowing what that next day is going to bring, it's the hardest thing in the world. It's the hardest thing for parents, but it's even tougher for anyone to see a child going through that. So please, on behalf of the children fighting the greatest battle of their lives, and their parents that are going through this with them, and all their siblings, please help us help these children. Help us raise money, help us raise awareness so we can fund more and more research so the children of today can become the community of tomorrow.
Please help.